is Jesus in gym shoes. Boy, this is Jesus in gym shoes.
Welcome to another episode of Jesus in Gym Shoes, where we have unparalleled conversations about life skills in Jesus. I have a good friend of mine, Miss Marcy Bond,
Hey.
on this episode. So we are in a series where I am having just conversations with parents, parents that are my age at different stages of parenthood, and I wanted to have Marcy on here. She is a photographer. She's an all around Renaissance person. You know, she be out here doing stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. I try my hardest. I'm very grateful that you have me on today. I've been waiting for my chance to get on Jesus in gym shoes, so I feel like I've arrived.
You have arrived, G. You most definitely have arrived. I appreciate you, hopping on. I start off how I started with everybody. What's your favorite pair of gym shoes?
So let me say this. I'm not a gym shoe booty. I'm not that type of person. Actually, we had a little small sneaker ball for one of my friends' birthday this past year, and I was so lost. So I called up one of my friends and I was like, I need you to help me because she is a gym shoe connoisseur. But anyway, so with that being said,
and I wear gym shoes, but it's okay. I love you though.
My favorite, most comfortable gym shoe is an Adidas gym shoe. And like I said, I'm not a gym shoe booty. I don't even know what it's called, but I think it's like a cloud foam, no strings. You just slide it on. And
so lazy.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very.
So you're a mom of two, right?
I'm a mom of two. My son Avery is 11.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter Charlie is 4 years old.
Oh, Charlie's 4. Jeez Louise. And Avery's 11. Lord jeez. I remember when Avery was in a stroller.
You remember when Avery was 4. Now Charlie's 4. And I think the time is going by so fast. I don't even know. I can't even believe, like, even us saying that Avery is 11 also means I've been a mom for 11 years. So I'm like, how? That's mind blowing to me.
What did you learn from being a mom so far?
Oh my God. What have I learned from being a mom so far? I've learned that there is no such thing as a perfect mom. There's no such thing like that. I feel like as a parent, that's what you strive to be. And you also think about your experiences with your own parents and how they were. And I've learned that there's no such thing as a perfect parent. I've also learned that parents are also people who are just trying to make it. Like, I feel like, what am I doing with 2 kids when I'm still trying to figure out life? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I feel like I'm a kid still sometimes, but through having children, I've learned forgiveness, and I've learned forgiveness of one of my own parents that we had an estranged relationship for a really long time. We still do. I'm 32 years old, and we actually just connected for the first time since I was 6 years old this past year. And at 32 years old, I felt a shift. Personally, I've experienced where forgiveness is actually like something you feel physically. And I see that from my own experience, because you can say to you blue in the face, I forgive this person, I forgive this person. But then if you hear this person's name, you feel like your heart boiling. You're like, maybe I don't forgive. But I got to a point.
Maybe I'll really rock with them.
Yeah. Right. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's easier said than done. But I feel like I got to a point where I was able to hear about my dad and hear and think about him without this anger arising. And so through my own children, I've just learned everybody is just out here trying to make it. Good parents are, what makes a good parent is a parent that is trying their best. And so that's the main thing I've learned, on top of an abundance of everything else.
Jeez Louise. What were some of your thoughts prior to Avery about being a mom?
Oh my God. Honestly, I don't think I had any thoughts prior to Avery. I wasn't thinking about being a mom. For me, I would have loved for my story to be like, oh yeah, I got married and I planned a family. No, it was definitely like a oopsie type of situation. So I don't think that I thought about it at all, but what I do know is that there is no time to be ready. Or like for me, it's like I feel like I hear a lot of like, oh, I'm not ready for that, or nobody's ready. Nobody is
Yeah.
ever ready. And so when you do end up in that situation and you're like, okay, I'm about to be a mom. What do I need to do to get together? So when I did find out that I was pregnant with him, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, let's get life together. I always say that Avery was the reason I got my first real job because prior to him, I had worked at Wendy's and fast food since high school. And so I was like, no, that's not going to cut it now. I have to be a provider for this child in my belly. So prior to having him, I didn't think anything about it. I was just out here.
So like when you found out you got pregnant, right? What were
Yeah.
some of the thoughts that happened then? Like was it the thought of, okay, I need to get a real job, or what kind of happened when you found out?
I feel like I grew up. I grew up and it was like okay, let's get into gear. Let's get into gear. Yes, let's get a real job. That's when I landed my first corporate job. And it was just time to grow up for this child. I'm definitely someone who, for me, my personal situation, I'm not gonna speak about everybody else, but it was never a question of like, what we gonna do about this? Like, I gotta fix this, if you know what I mean. It was more like, okay, I made some choices that's led to this, and I'm going to deal with those choices and grow up. Yeah.
So was it the same when you were pregnant with Charlie?
I feel like when I got pregnant with Charlie, I was already in the swing of things. It was a lot less fear in terms of being quote unquote ready. I feel like as a person, I was a lot more mature. I was a lot more confident in my, I guess, parental abilities. So when I was pregnant with Charlie, it was like, all right, it's go time. I got this. Yeah, a lot less fear surrounding me having her.
Understood. So then with that, what's the one thing you want your kids to remember about you?
That's a good question. Are you talking about in terms of if I'm gone?
I mean, it could be anything, like when they out in the world and they like having conversation. It could be two parts. It could be when they out in the world and they having conversations about their mom, right? What do you want them to remember about you?
I feel like when you ask me that, it's so many layers. I feel like what's coming more so is like what I don't want them to remember about me, which is my latest thing is like, I never want to be a yelling mama. And like, I don't
loud,
like,
though, G.
I know I am loud, but I mean in terms of like, so I have been reading this parenting book, and one of the first pages, and I will find the name of it before we're off, but one of the first pages tells this story about how this lady was witnessing her neighbor. Her neighbor had a kid, and the kid was on a lawnmower with his father, and he was like learning how to work this lawnmower, and they accidentally went over the mom's bed of flowers. And so the mom came out and she was freaking out and she was screaming at him, like, what are you doing? And this kid like froze, like, oh my God, just upset my mom. And the dad then interjected and said something to the effect of like, hey, you got to remember, we're raising a boy, a son, a human. We're not raising these flowers. You can get these flowers back, but the way that you made him feel in this moment is something that matters. And so that stuck with me, because anytime Avery and Charlie are around here making me mad or doing something or ruining something that I just bought, I put that into perspective. Like, okay, maybe Charlie just spilled some red Kool-Aid on the carpet, but I'm raising a girl. I'm not raising this carpet. Forget this carpet. That's replaceable. So I just want them to always remember that I put them first. I want them to have as much peace in their childhood as possible, because trauma comes in all different forms. There's levels to trauma. Trauma can be minuscule. It can be tremendous, but I never want to be the cause of any of their traumatic experiences.
What has it been like as a mom? Just like your real experience as a mom. What has that been like?
So I feel like my experience has been non-traditional. And I say that because I feel like one of the most taboo things in the parental realm in society is like moms who put themselves first. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you even say that, it's like you cursing. Like I put
Yeah.
myself first and my children come after me. And I do feel like that's been my experience. This is probably one of the first time I'm vocalizing that, but I make it a point to make sure I'm good, that I have a sound mind, that I have peace, that I'm fulfilling my own dreams and living my best life so that I can pour into them. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
I'm empty, if my cup is not full, what do I have to give to them? So that's the best way I could describe it, is that my experience has been non-traditional. Of course, I put my children first, but I also make sure that I'm good so that they will be good.
What does that look like?
Man, well, so it looks like balance. For example, I'll give you a small example. If I go on a girls' trip or if I go on a vacation, I make sure they are on a trip too within that same year. So it's like whatever I do for myself, I'm making sure I do for them.
Mm.
Uh, of course, we have homework time, we have bath time, we have dinner, we do all of that. But I also go out with my friends. I also spend time with friends and family doing things that I like to do. I also make sure I have a lot of me time, but I make sure that they don't want for anything or that they're not deficient in the time spent with me either. But I think if I had to put one word to it, it just looks like balance.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And I
Yeah.
think that that's something that you don't hear a lot of people practicing
Yeah.
without even having kids. They don't practice balance.
It's definitely one of the common themes of me raising them in general. And I say that because, like I said, it's important to me that they always have peace. And so even in my dating life, or well, and by the way, they have two different dads. I know you knew that, but your audience doesn't. And sometimes I feel like you have to terminate relationships if it's going to be a detriment to the development of your children. And so
Understood.
again, I don't speak from a judgmental place. I only speak from me and my own experience, because I don't judge the mama that's like, okay, I got to stay with their dad because I want to make my family work and I want to raise my child in a two-parent household. Right on, sister, but that's not my story. For me, if we up in here boxing and yelling and screaming and my kids are like affected by that, you got to go. I would much rather live in split households or my kids be in split households and have peace and harmony in both households than to have this what appears to be this picture perfect family from the outside, but it's just like, hella tumultuous on the inside. So again, balance and just making sure that they have a lot of peace. That's so important to me.
So with that, what is it that you don't want them to remember about you?
Okay, so I brought up the yelling mama thing, and I say
Yeah.
that because my mom was a yelling mama. And
She's
let
so
me,
pretty. Lord Jesus.
oh my God, I knew you was gonna say something like that. Yes, my mom is gorgeous. My
She can
mom,
yell at me.
my mom, and I know she's gonna listen to this. Like, dang, but no, let me not say that. Let the first thing that I say about my mother be something negative. My mom is a superwoman.
She dope. Yeah.
She is a Jill of all trades, and
Uh-huh.
she was a single mom of three, and she was under a lot of pressure. She worked three jobs at all times. I feel like she was always like living in a straw that broke the camel's back kind of world, because one thing could just send her spinning. And
Yeah.
so it was just hard. It was hard for her. It was hard for her being a single parent. She did the very best that she could. But one of the things that I do remember about my mother as a child was that she yelled. Like, she yelled. It's a funny story behind it too. I didn't stand up to my mom until I was like 15 years old. And she will tell you this is a moment in her parenting journey that was one of those things that stands out. I literally
Mm-hmm.
just yelling, and I was like, "Mom, you don't have to yell." And then of course I ran like, "Oh, I'm about to get here come my butt whooping after because some parents are like, oh, who are you talking to?"
Yeah.
He says that was one of the moments where it was like, wow, I don't have to yell. And so when I get one thing I feel like a lot of parents lose sight of is that if you are yelling like a maniac at your children, that's because you are going through something else. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
going through something else. They're the easy target to take it out on them. And it's just easy to let those moments of frustration boil over to where you're yelling and screaming. So I'm saying that because I'm actively working on that. Of course, I slip up, but one thing I make sure I do notoriously is apologize to my children. I will humble myself in a minute and apologize to my children for hurting their feelings or for taking something out on them, and just make sure they understand, hey, I'm human too, but you didn't deserve that.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'm I don't think a lot of people practice that.
of
Like
course not.
like kids are like human, bro. Like, they have feelings and all of that stuff.
Definitely. Again, that's just one of my non-traditional parenting methods. We are grooming and growing children into adults who are going to remember attributes of their childhood. And that's one thing I
Mm-hmm.
don't want them to remember, that I was yelling and screaming at them all the time just because I'm stressed and overwhelmed. That's not something they deserve.
So
So
how do
that's
you
one thing.
practice? Yeah,
Huh?
so that's one thing you don't want them to remember. What's another thing you don't want them to remember?
I don't want them to remember me as on my electronics. Charlie says to me now, she's like, "Are you working again? Why do you always work? Why do you work so much?" Because I'm here right now with my computer talking to you. I got another computer right here. I got a phone right here. Like the bulk of my work, because I also have a corporate job in addition to photography, is spent on my computer. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't want them to remember their mom as having a face buried in her computer. And I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you and say that's something I'm working on. I'm not about to paint that picture for myself, but it is something that I think about. So I moving forward, I definitely want to kind of incorporate some no device, no electronics time spent with them, because again, I don't want to remember my children. Avery's always on his game. Charlie's always on her tablet. And in this day and age, it's so easy to slip into that. But that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely something I'd like to work on. And the last thing that came to me is probably that I don't want them to remember me as just their mom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that. I want them to remember me as their mom who went after her own dreams and made it happen for herself and for them. And I just want to be that example for them. So I don't want them to remember me as their mom. That's it. Like I want them to remember me as much more than that. The woman behind their mom, definitely.
I don't think it wasn't until I got older that I was able to see my parents as like actual humans.
Yeah, of course. So what do
And
you feel like you saw them as though growing up?
I don't know, angry people. Like I don't even know if they were like people to me. They were just like mom and dad. I don't know if I
That's
like could quantify it into words.
yeah. And
But
I feel like that's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want them to remember me as just mom. Just mom. I want them to remember me as much more than that. And I don't really know how to elaborate on that at all, but you know.
I think it's defining moments though that you have to like. I mean, my parents were single, or my mom was a single mother, and then like you also have to like see. You don't get to understand why your parents made the decisions that they did until you're an adult and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I get it. Like y'all were two young people who had things going on with yourselves that led you to make the decisions, whether good or bad, that you did. Um,
That's
you
exactly right.
you may not have known how to effectively communicate because ain't nobody effectively communicate with you,
That's exactly
or you may not. You have to be cognizant of those things.
right. Mhm.
And I'm happy that you're cognizant while they're 11 and 12. you
Yeah.
know. I mean, while Avery's 11 and Charlie's 4, you know. Um, because I had a come to Jesus moment with my parents when I was about 18 or so.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, y'all did X, Y, and Z to me. And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't like that. And
And you are so vocal, and I definitely love that about you and appreciate that about you. And I'm sure that that was a moment, like you said, a defining moment for them, where it's like, ooh, he's aware now. we did. How did they respond when you brought that to them?
they responded well.
They were open to it.
Ironically, because they didn't listen when I was a shorty.
Yeah.
They didn't listen very well at all.
And it probably had a lot to do with they had to mature as adults themselves,
Absolutely.
and had to have the heart to even be able to receive that, because a lot of people walk in a fence. Like, I did what to you? Like, so
I'm your mama. I don't
yeah.
do nothing to you.
And that's another
I
thing.
made
I
you.
want my children to be able to talk to me about things, even the hard things. So I try to, obviously they haven't come to me about anything too hard now, but I do try to cultivate an environment to where they know that they can always talk to me about anything, even if it's hard, like the conversation that you had to have with your parents.
Yeah. I think one thing that I respected about you was, like, earlier this summer you hit me and you never followed through.
Oh yeah.
Like,
You're
you
right.
saw something, you saw Avery was having a bit of a boy crisis. And
Yeah.
you were like, oh, I need to nip this in the bud. And it was you were attentive to
Yeah. I tried my best with that. I do want to say I didn't follow through with you. I do apologize. I know you're a busy man, but I did have other people on his schedule that I did follow through with. He had some really good interactions. So for your audience, to give a little background.
Oh, yeah, I was trying. I wasn't going. I wasn't. I'm
I'm not gonna put my boy out there,
I'm
but
open to
he
you. Yeah.
was going through the normal adolescent boy emotions with certain things, and it was one thing after another to where I felt like, let me grab the reins on this. What can I do? Number one, that's not yelling and screaming, because that's not doing anything. What can I do that's not taking away that game? That's not doing anything. What can I do to jump in and grab this BS by the reins and rein it back in? So I decided to create a little boy boot camp program for him, where I had him meeting with who I felt would be positive influences in his life. That's why you were on that list. To
So
just have
yeah. So break down the boy boot camp. I think that this is a really, really cool thing that you did.
Yeah.
And there may be some other parents that hear this. It
Yeah,
was really, really cool.
for sure. I wish I could pull it up. So I created him a schedule. And it was a month-long schedule on this calendar, and this was my alternative to punishment, because that's what we grew up on, punishment. But my thing with punishment is, okay, you're gonna have me sit in my room doing what? Like, what am I learning here? And so for every day of the calendar, I
Yeah.
had him doing something, whether it was reading a book. One of the issues he was struggling with was, running with the crowd and having these influences on him and just following the crowd. And one of the things led to what I consider maybe bullying this other little boy. So for me, in my mind, if you're bullying somebody, it's something wrong with you. Like, you're having some self-esteem issues. You are lashing out and trying to seek attention in unhealthy ways because it's something going on internally with you. So I bought him a bunch of books about his increase in self-esteem, confidence, a lot of like Black Boy Joy types of books. So some of the things on the calendar might have been like reading one of those books and writing about it, and reporting back to me what he retained from those books. One of the things was a service project. One of the things, and some of the things were meeting with, like I said, positive male influences, just for an hour over breakfast or something. I can't remember the other things, but I was just intentional.
I got it up in front of me
You
right
do?
now. I get up.
You're so funny.
Come on, man. I do my research, B.
I
I
see.
do my research, B. So you had game night with you.
Yeah.
You spent intentional time with him, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
the game nights that you had, Swallow Cliff, you guys went. You guys also went bike riding, like together, volunteering with each other. You made
Yeah.
him cook with you.
Yes.
Y'all was working out or whatever.
Yep. And
Yeah.
he is a good trainer. Let me tell you, he don't let me give up. But yeah, I definitely want to incorporate time spent, like, to just open up doors for certain conversations about certain things, and it worked. He really did turn it around. He really did. So if anybody wants a copy of my calendar, it's gonna be $5.99. I'm just kidding. No, it really did work, and I think, like I said, you have to. One thing I appreciate about our generation is that we are trying different things, and
Mhm.
trying to break those generational curses and cycles. And so I think that was a great alternative to punishment. Yeah.
Understood. And so, how do you show love to your kids?
Well, I'm very affectionate, so obviously, like, I'm always giving them hugs, always giving them kisses. Like I mentioned earlier, I like spending a lot of time with them. We do movie nights, we watch The Voice, we do a lot of things like that. We eat over here, so we're always going out to dinner. Charlie and Avery like to help cook. And Avery's homework has been a big thing for this year, because I feel like fifth grade is when it's finally like, okay, this is some real homework that's going to require a lot of
Hmm.
brain power. So we do his homework together. Avery loves games. He loves Uno. Charlie is a nature girl. She's much like her mama. She likes to
Okay.
be out on walks. She just asked me the other day if I wanted to go on a walk with her. She is a water baby. We swim a lot. Avery and Charlie both love spending the night at hotels and just going to their pools. So
I
we
need to
do
learn
a
how
lot.
to swim, G.
What'd you say?
I need to learn how to swim.
Yeah, yep. Taught her how to swim. She's been in swimming lessons. But yeah, I like activities. I like doing things that require us to interact and talk. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's the way that you show love to them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Spending time, quality time. I think that's super important.
So I know that you mentioned like balance is a way that you kind of keep yourself together, but like how are you staying in shape for your kids, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
How do you want to,
is that a
however you
metaphor?
want to answer it. However you want to answer it. I'm asking you.
Is that a I'm like, I don't know about in shape, what you mean by that, but no, I definitely, when we talk about in shape, literally, I definitely am trying to go to at least one workout class a week. I definitely like that time away. I go on drives. My thing is like driving. If I'm super frustrated, I'm like going on a drive, a long drive. That's one of my things. Listening to music. I spend time with my friends. That's what I do. Like, that is my me time. Is girl time. I definitely try to make time to get massages. There's this little place in Tinley Park. It's an Asian massage place, and they only charge
You
like
get a happy
$30
ending.
per hour. What'd you say?
Nothing.
Did you say something about a happy ending? Why do people associate that? Poor Asians. But no, this is a legit place. I promise I don't need a happy a happy ending.
Oh, gross.
No, but this place for real, it's $30 for an hour, and people who listen to this are gonna be hitting you up like, can you ask her what that place is? uh, but I do that, and then obviously one of my biggest outlets is photography. Like,
Hmm.
I when I'm out in a session, I feel like I'm alive. Like, that's my creative space. That's my me time. That's my thing. So that's how. Yeah.
So let's talk about Charlie's Light, right? How
Sure.
did you discover that you wanted to take pictures?
Sure. So, hmm, it was something I did my whole life, whether it was on a camera phone or I remember even when we had the disposable cameras, like, that was something that always came naturally to me. And then obviously as we got older into more of this digital age with phones, like, I'm that dedicated friend that's gonna be taking pictures of everybody. If I see something that I feel like needs to be captured, I'm going to get it. If I see somebody with their boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or husband or whatever the case, and they're having a moment, I'm really big on, like, memorializing that moment for them. Um, my mom was gifted a camera a DSLR camera from my dad. I think maybe for a birthday or anniversary, maybe like 5 years ago. And she thought it was something that was pretty cool to have, but it ultimately was collecting dust.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it and I was like, you don't use this. I'm going to use this and get into it. So that at the time, maybe if I would say 4 or 5 years ago, that's how I started out as a hobbyist. And then people started asking me to take pictures for them in exchange for money. So that's, I think, when it clicked like, oh, okay, I can make money doing this. And then I had Charlie. I slipped into a little dark space. I would even call it a depression just because of the situation I was going through with her dad. It was just not a good one. And so I kind of put the camera down. But
How did you get out of that?
huh?
How did you get out of that? Well, like, what steps did you take to get out of that?
So I feel like God has created me to be this super ultra resilient person. And I have to give that credit to God because I know that that is not any type of strength that a person can just have on their own. Like, I don't know. I feel like either it's a skill that you develop or you're blessed with it to be able to be a person who bounces back. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are moms out there who go through things and they let it consume them, and it takes away from them as a woman. It takes away from their children. And a lot of women will stay in that place. I've never been the type of person to stay in a place. Like, I might cry, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna go through what I go through for a few days, and then I'm going to pull myself out. Um, and so I don't really know how to elaborate on that. I just it's like I said, I think it's just a gift, and God never allows me to be in dark places for too long. So I'll get too emotional talking about it. But it's one of those things where you like, okay, snap out of it. Let's do what you got to do to build yourself back up, pick yourself back up. You may have fallen off the horse, but get back on it and let's go. So I don't really know how to answer your question. How did I do that? But
What gets you back on the horse? Like, what is it? Is it task oriented, or is it kind
oh
of you focus on something else, or what is it that kind
yeah.
of gets you back going?
So more recently, I feel like it's definitely having an outlet, having a
Mm.
safe space. My outlet and safe space is Kristen Dean. We use an
Bro,
app called Marco.
She grilled me
Did she?
on the episode we did with Salt and Lit. Yeah, that I did with her and Yelly.
Have you released it yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, because I've been waiting on it. Yeah, Kristen is a tough cookie. She's not one to play with. I can't wait to hear about it, to hear that episode. But she's definitely my safe space, my outlet. I can tell her anything, I can trust her with anything, and I do feel like everybody should have that. Everybody should be intentional about having that person who is your go-to, your outlet. She talks a lot about that on their podcast as well. But
Mm-hmm.
so definitely just venting about certain things. I do have to put my phone on D&D. I do have to cut myself off from the world, because what will happen sometimes is that when you feel overwhelmed or you feel like you're in a dark space, you can get one text message from somebody that just blows you, like,
Yeah.
okay. And then that can put you, that can what am I trying to say, that can mess up all the progress you've made with pulling yourself out of that
Mm-hmm.
space. For somebody, that's the whole idea about protecting your peace. So I do feel like when I am in those spaces, it's important for me to just cut off for a while until I feel like I'm mentally sound again. uh,
Understood. So then you picked up the camera. We're gonna go back to that. You
we're
picked
gonna go
up the
back.
camera.
Yeah, me and you will definitely get off topic.
Yeah, very much so.
I picked up the camera about a year ago and said, when it was COVID motivated as well, because a lot of people were losing their jobs, and I'm like, all right, if I lose my job, if I get laid off, what do I have as a backup for me and my kids? How am I gonna feed them? So it was more like, okay, let me tap into the gifts that I have and things that I love to do. I do personally believe that everybody can make money doing something they love, and that's something that I love. And so pick back up my mom's camera. And you know how it's one of them things where you using somebody's stuff and then they like, hey, that's mine. That's what
Mhm.
happened. She was like, when you gonna give me my camera back? For what? For you to never use it?
She just like it in that space, you know?
She just want to collect the dust. So
Yeah.
I ended up purchasing a used camera, my first used camera a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, started continuing my education, watching YouTube videos, joining seminars, doing certain things to get better and better and hone in on my skill set. And then a few weeks ago, I just bought my very first brand new camera, my own camera, which I'm really proud of. And
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. I definitely hope one day that I can go full time doing it. Right now, the corporate job sustains us financially, and having insurance and benefits ain't so bad. But I
It ain't so
definitely
bad, baby.
it ain't so bad.
It
But
ain't
I
so
definitely do
bad.
it for my kids, and I do it because I love it, and I do it because it makes people feel good, it makes people feel happy, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's taking pictures, but it's also a way to give back and connect with people and just build them up and build their self-esteem and confidence. Because a lot more people than you realize have like in front of camera phobias. So
Really?
yes, a lot of people they're nervous. Every time I'm having a consultation with somebody, I'm nervous. I'm not good in front of the camera. And for me, it's never something where I'm like, ooh, if they nervous, I'm nervous. For me, I like hearing that because I like turning it around for them to be like, look at this picture of you. What do you mean you were nervous? You look
You are the greatest hype man.
I
Like you will
and
hype.
but it's genuine. It's genuine. It's
I'm not saying it ain't, but like you like the Flavor Flav of like friendom. You like Spliff to like Buster. Like
for
you
sure.
will
Yeah.
make sure that somebody feel how they supposed to feel.
Yeah, I try. I try. And the reason is I've had a lot of people do that for me. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that.
And
But
while you tell people that I flaked on you, you the one that keep flaking out of your headshot session. So
whoa.
oh,
I never said you flaked on me.
you did for the everything. The boy boot camp.
Oh, girl, I thought something else. You did flake. You did flake on me though. But I was trying to do it that one day, but Charlie got sick,
Yep. Yeah.
so it wasn't my fault.
We
And then
gonna
I
get
just
it
been
in
busy. I just been going in and out of town.
for sure. For sure. We
So
gonna get it in.
yeah, I'm just out here trying to. I'm a parent now, so I'm trying to get my balance in.
Well, you're a parent now.
Yeah, you ain't hear my dog over there,
Oh my God. You're one of those.
girl. This would
Like,
be the last place that I will reveal me having a kid.
I was
I'm
about
gonna
to say,
I'm gonna
did
just
you
show up with a 4-year-old. Like,
like
let me
damn
have
DJ?
the only caveat would be like if I'm married,
Yeah.
Shorty will like want to have to show it off. But like if I was to like slip up and you know slip up from practicing or whatever, um,
Practice.
I yeah, I'm gonna show up with a 4-year-old. Like,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna come back 10 years later. They be like, dang, DJ, when you had that one?
Yeah.
You have to catch me outside.
Yeah.
Nah,
Don't do
I ain't going. No, but where can people find you?
My personal Instagram is Laud LAWD underscore. What is it?
Have Marcy.
No, let's Laud have Marcy. LAWDHAVE underscore MARCY. And then my business Instagram and business socials are at Charlie's, the traditional spelling with the S at the end, Light Photo. CHARLIESPHOTO. I missed something. Charlie's Light Photo and
Oh
Law Have
God.
Mercy. I made that so difficult, didn't I?
Yeah, I was
They're like,
like,
we
why
couldn't find
you
her.
why you ain't notice?
Just edit that part out.
No, I'm keeping that in there. You go click on here when I go through having to have a conversation with Marcy.
Charlie's Light Photo. That's where they can
You had to
find.
look at it on your phone. I literally have it up in front of me. I told you I did my research.
And they can find me through you if all else fails.
Yeah, just type in Marcy on my Instagram. Because Lord have mercy. Lord.
Yeah.
You have had some iconic I think that they're iconic. You've had some really, really iconic IG names.
Oh yeah. we've been through the ringer with IG name changes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we here to stay now.
Lord have mercy is the
Yeah.
is the one.
It's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm here for it. Well, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today.
Yeah.
Um, Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at this is underscore Jesus and Gym Shoes. Share it with your friends, your mamas, and your daddies. And I love you. Talk to you later.